I will be doing a critique of the play Umami Mermaids. Now, there are many post-dramatic elements in Umami Mermaids. There's ambiguity. The audience is left to make what they want of the plot and figure it out for themselves. Discontinuity, so it's set in the future, post-apocalypse, but there's also breaks between that. It'll go into the past of its own future and jump around. Non-textuality and also the text as a basic material only. This one is based on the text, but there's a lot of elements like different mediums and other things at play that it's kind of very physical and movement based as well, the storytelling. And there's multiple codes and parataxes. The mermaids themselves are like their own language. You know, they've made their own different terms, and it's actually really cool. And it's anti-mimetic, so the story isn't like end to end. It kind of jumps around, and it's almost like a parable in the end, because it's about like how to not fuck up the future. And the way that the audience receives the text is different. It's not just a performance happening. They can make their own assumptions, they can decide for themselves what it's about, and it's a very physical form of storytelling. So there's some other elements of post-dramatic in there. There's audience interaction and breaking of the fourth wall, which is really cool. At one point in the performance, the audience is actually illuminated and lit. And also, of course, there's the framing device of it being said in the future for that parable kind of story. Now, the intermedial parts of it are the most important aspects. There's a lot of different mediums at play, both digital and analog. One of the most important is sound and lighting, and that's what makes it scary and creepy when they illuminate the mermaids. And actually the puppets are a medium themselves, but I have a theory that the human body becomes a medium when they're controlling the puppet. Because similar to like No or Kabuki Japanese theatre, where they're all in black, you can't see them, it's actually about the puppet. The puppet becomes the performer then, and the human body is moving it. And chalk also is another analog technology they use in there. They write a lot, and there's like words that they write. And at one point this character writes angrily, and like it's the way he is writing is like really communicative of how he's feeling. And also voiceover is a very integral part of it, and that leads into intersectionality, the next part, because the male character never speaks, and when he does, it's only a voiceover, and that actually makes it more creepy as well, which is cool. So with intersectionality, this one, like a pro-feminist kind of play, it's it's directed by Elizabeth Millington. The sound design, Anna Whitaker. Costumes, Caitlin Strongarm. Script consultant, Maxine Meller. And the creative director, of course, is Anna Straker. So it's got like a dream team of women. It's actually really cool. And the male character is masked, which is really interesting. Unlike Ode to Man, which I was gonna review, but if I was gonna use Emma Hall's own words against her, if I wanted to talk about it, I would have to say everything. Basically, the male character is masked, and that's actually really interesting because it makes him like less than human, which is cool. But there is one moment where he becomes unmasked and like is vomiting up teeth and like gore, and yeah, it's really interesting. And then that goes back to the ambiguity. You could decide like, has he been hurt by a mermaid before? Or, I don't know, maybe he has a mermaid inside of him, who knows? And going back to the message of it, it's an environmental message, and it's also about like gender equality. I think it effectively communicates it, because unlike Ode to Man, which kind of may offend some men and their ears will just shut, this one you think about it for ages, and it's in your head. And the men are the one that need to listen. You need to get the message to them, because girls already know what's up. And so if you can communicate that effectively, it's getting it to the right people who need to take away from it, and it's doing it really well. Changes, anything I would change in it would be It's still leaning towards traditional theatre in that it is leaning on like the text and there's a fictive cosmos, but all those different mediums and stuff, it's a very visual play. It's not just a performer speaking to the audience, so I thought that was cool. I definitely think it's post-dramatic, but I would have more unscripted moments, more like ad-lib, and I would get closer to the audience, freak them out, because it starts like that. The male character gets right into your face and it's really creepy, and he backs up, and he's not speaking, he's wearing the mask, and yeah, so I think that would be all that would change, just freaking the audience out a bit more. Anyway, that was Umami Mermaids, a review, and is it post-dramatic? I think so.